Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Intimacy Lab. Let me ask you something. Have you ever laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she ever thinks about you too? Not in the casual, fleeting way people remember a good meal or a funny joke, but in that deep, silent ache, the kind that sits beneath the surface of her smiles and scrolls. The kind that stings when she sees your name, but pretends it doesn't. She left. Maybe she said it was for her peace. Maybe she blamed the timing or the weight of it all, and yet here you are, months, maybe years later. You feel her absence like an unfinished sentence, and you wonder, does she regret it, and if she does? Why hasn't she said so? Because regret doesn't always come with an apology. Sometimes it shows up in silence. In the pictures, she still hasn't deleted. In the texts, she starts writing but never sends. In the way she brings up what we had. When she drinks just enough to forget she left it behind. This video is for the man who knows something still lingers, but has never been given the words to name it. Let's talk about the regret she carries, and why she may never be able to admit it. You didn't see it coming, did you? One minute she was holding your hand like it meant something, like you were the home she'd always been looking for, and the next she was gone. Maybe she didn't even leave with fire. Maybe she slipped away with silence, with excuses dressed up as logic. She told you she needed space, or that she was working on herself, or the timeless favorite, it's not you, it's me. And even then, when your chest felt like it might cave in, you gave her the benefit of the doubt. You believed her. Because you loved her, because when a man loves with his soul, he doesn't always see the cracks forming until the whole damn house collapses. But here's the thing no one tells you. When a woman walks away from a man she once loved, it's rarely clean. Even when she looks composed, even when she posts smiling pictures, goes out with friends, starts dating someone new, it's rarely over in her heart, not right away, and sometimes, even if she never says it, she feels the weight of what she gave up every single day. Regret isn't always loud, sometimes it's subtle. It's hidden in her routines, in the way she avoids certain songs, in the way she tenses when someone mentions your name. And because she's trying to move on, she won't say it, not to her friends, not to her mirror, and certainly not to you. Why? Because to admit she regrets leaving would mean facing the truth, that maybe she was the one who broke something sacred. That maybe the love she left behind was the very thing she's now out there trying to replace, and that truth is terrifying. So she'll say things like, we were just too different, or he was too emotionally unavailable, or we didn't want the same things, but notice something. When she talks about you, she doesn't sound angry, she sounds tired, tired of pretending she didn't feel safe with you, tired of convincing herself you were the problem, tired of all the ways she's tried to rewrite history so she doesn't have to own her part in the ending. Women don't regret leaving when they feel unseen. They regret leaving when they realize you were the one who saw them completely and loved them anyway. And maybe you weren't perfect. Let's be honest, maybe you were distant sometimes, maybe you didn't say I love you in all the ways she needed. But the kind of man who stays when it gets hard, who tries to understand her storms instead of running from them, who shows up even after arguments, that man doesn't come around twice. And here's what no one else will say. Women don't always leave because they're unhappy. Sometimes they leave because they're scared. Scared of their own depth, scared of loving you too much, scared of how vulnerable they felt in your presence. The intensity of real connection, it terrifies people who aren't ready for it. She might have thought she wanted the fairy tale. But when you gave her something deeper, something real, something raw, she didn't know how to hold it. So she let go, and now she scrolls through your photos like she's just checking in. She laughs at old memories that flash through her mind when she least expects them. She compares every man she meets to you quietly, subconsciously, and none of them make her feel the way you did. None of them challenge her the way you did. None of them loved her through her chaos the way you did. But she'll never tell you that, because pride is louder than love for some people, and admitting she misses you would mean admitting she chose wrong. It would mean opening a wound she's tried to stitch up with distractions, rebounds, and fake smiles. You see, a woman's silence after a breakup doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means shame, shame for giving up too soon. Shame for not fighting for what was real, shame for letting someone go who is still willing to try. And you've probably been asking yourself if she ever truly cared, if it meant anything to her at all. You've replayed every conversation, every moment of laughter, every night she curled up beside you and whispered things she probably didn't tell anyone else. You've tried to convince yourself it was all an illusion, just to make peace with her absence, but deep down, in your most honest moments, you know it wasn't fake. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Knowing that something so real could still fall apart. What you don't know is that she feels it too. That ache, that hollowness, that strange emptiness that creeps in when life slows down and her phone isn't lighting up with new messages. She doesn't talk about it, but it's there. She sees glimpses of you in other people, in the way someone holds a door open, in the way a stranger smells like your cologne, in the rare moment someone says her name in a tone that almost reminds her of how you used to say it. She regrets it not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. She just doesn't know how to say it without unraveling everything she's tried so hard to hold together since you left. And the truth is, she might never say it, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. There's a moment, quiet and unspoken, when she realizes that what you offered her wasn't ordinary. It didn't hit her all at once. No, it crept in slowly. Maybe she saw a man laugh too hard at his own joke and noticed that it didn't make her laugh the way you used to. Maybe she was having dinner across from someone new and felt herself reaching for a connection that simply wasn't there. That's how it begins. Regret doesn't always knock on the door. Sometimes it seeps in through the cracks of comparison. In her mind, she tells herself she's moved on, but her body remembers your rhythm, the way you matched her pace, challenged her beliefs, made her think deeper. Not every man can do that. Most don't even try. She doesn't regret leaving because you were flawless. She regrets it because even with your imperfections, you made her feel more alive than the safe, predictable, emotionally cautious versions of love she's met since. And yet she keeps quiet because silence gives her control. Words make things messy. If she says it out loud, that she misses you, that she wishes she stayed, then she has to confront all the versions of herself that told her to go. She'd have to admit that maybe her friends were wrong, that maybe she was wrong, that maybe what she walked away from wasn't the problem, maybe the problem was what she carried within her all along. So she carries that regret like a secret necklace tucked beneath her clothes. You can't see it, but it's there. Heavy, close to the heart, you've likely had your own moments too, where you questioned everything. Where you wondered what made her turn cold. Where you asked yourself if you didn't try hard enough, love well enough, show up in the right way. But I want to speak to that part of you that's still healing, the part that thinks her silence means she's over you. It doesn't. It means she's protecting her pride. It means she's pretending to be strong in a world that rewards emotional detachment. It means she's still learning how to sit with a heart that aches but doesn't know how to speak. She's moved on in appearance. But emotionally, that's much harder to fake because the body doesn't lie. The nervous system doesn't lie. When she hears your name, when she sees a photo of you smiling with someone new, when she accidentally stumbles across an old message, there's a shift. It's small, but it's real. Her chest tightens, her breathing pauses, her fingers hesitate. And in those micro moments, she feels it all over again, the intimacy, the warmth, the safety, and the loss. But still, she won't tell you, because this isn't a movie where the music swells and she comes running back in the rain. This is life, real life, where people bury their feelings to survive, where women learn from a young age not to look needy, not to chase, not to admit they made a mistake, especially when it comes to love. She may pretend she's unbothered. She may even say things like, "I wish him the best," or "We just weren't compatible." But if you listen closely, really closely, you'll hear the grief sitting just beneath the performance. She regrets losing the one person who saw her chaos and didn't flinch, who didn't run when she was too much, who held space for her pain, her dreams, her wounds, and still chose her, and now she finds herself in situationships that lack depth. Men who want her body but don't know how to handle her mind, moments that feel more like distractions than intimacy. And she wonders quietly, was that love? Was that the real thing? But she'll scroll past your photos. She won't like them, she won't comment, she'll do everything she can to look unaffected, and yet she won't unfollow you. Because even the smallest digital tether keeps her connected to what once was. It's her way of keeping the door cracked open, just in case. It's not about ego anymore. It's about emotion she can't fully name. And the truth is, she might never come back. Not because she doesn't want to, but because regret isn't always strong enough to break through fear. You've probably wondered, should I reach out? Should I tell her I still care? Should I remind her of what we had? But let me offer this. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is stand still, to not chase, to not explain, to let the silence speak for itself. Because when a woman regrets leaving, and she knows she's the one who ended it, the weight of that realization is hers to carry, not yours to lift. You gave her your heart. You showed her a version of love that asked her to rise, to grow, to be seen fully. That's a rare gift. Most men either want to fix a woman or escape from her intensity. You did neither. You stayed present, you listened, you tried, and she knows that, even if she's never said thank you. Even if she acts like it meant nothing, she knows, and late at night, when she's alone with the noise in her head, when the world has gone quiet and the mask has slipped, she feels it. That was real and she let it go. Sometimes regret doesn't sound like "I'm sorry." Sometimes it sounds like a woman trying to convince herself she made the right decision. She'll rehearse the reasons in her head like a mantra. We weren't aligned. He wasn't emotionally available. It wasn't going anywhere. But she knows those weren't the full truth. They were the safest truth, the kind she could say out loud without falling apart. You were her mirror in ways she didn't anticipate. You saw her, not just the curated version she showed to the world, but the whole of her, the messy, insecure, wild, ambitious, tired, curious, broken, brilliant parts. And when a woman isn't ready to face herself, being truly seen is terrifying, so she pulls away, and then she builds a story to justify it. It's easier to say you weren't ready than to admit she was scared, and now she watches you, probably from a distance. Maybe you're doing better, maybe you're glowing again, laughing deeper, holding yourself differently. Maybe you're finally building something just for you, piece by piece, no longer carrying the weight of what you thought the two of you could have been. She notices, even if she never says a word, it stings. Not because she wants to take it back, but because she knows you're becoming the man she always wanted, and she's no longer the one standing beside you. That's the ache she doesn't talk about, the grief of being replaced not by another woman, but by your healing. Your growth, your peace. You see, when a man reclaims his power after being left, it rattles a woman who wasn't sure she made the right choice. Because now it's too late to rewrite the ending without confronting the truth. You didn't fail her. You simply refused to shrink for her comfort. She might bump into you one day, maybe at a mutual friend's event or in a place you both used to love. She'll smile, maybe even hug you a little too long. Her words will be polite, careful, maybe even distant. But her eyes, they'll tell on her, they always do, because eyes betray the heart long before the mouth does. There'll be something in the way she studies your face, in the way she lingers a second too long when you laugh. She'll ask about your life and you'll say you're doing well, and for the first time she'll realize that your happiness no longer includes her. That moment, that's when regret becomes undeniable. She may still try to hide it. She may say, "I'm happy for you." She may even introduce you to someone she's dating, pretending it's all light and easy, but deep down, in a place she doesn't even visit often, she knows she lost something sacred. Not perfect, but sacred, because love isn't supposed to be perfect, it's supposed to be real. You gave her real. And in a world where everyone's chasing the illusion of better, she ran from the one thing that could have actually grown with her. There's something else I want to say, especially to the men who are watching this and still clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'll come back. That maybe her regret will become action, that maybe the "I miss you" is just a message away. But here's the truth you need to hear. Just because she regrets leaving doesn't mean she's capable of returning. Regret and readiness are not the same. A woman can feel the full weight of what she lost and still not have the tools to face it, rebuild it, or nurture it. She can ache for you in private and still keep you blocked. She can miss you in her soul and still date other men. Because the wound of loss isn't always enough to change someone. Sometimes it just sits there, unhealed, unspoken, a quiet reminder of a love that asked too much of her courage. And you're not meant to wait in limbo for her, to grow into the kind of love you offered freely. You are not the second draft of her self-discovery. You are a whole man, worthy of a woman who chooses you with her fear, not because of it. The most heartbreaking truth is this: some people never say "I'm sorry," not because they don't feel it, but because it hurts too much to face what they've done. Especially when the love was pure, especially when the ending was preventable, especially when, deep down, they know you were right there willing. So she goes silent, she ghosts, she disappears, or worse, she pretends like you never mattered, but you did. And maybe that's the only closure you'll ever get, knowing that you were the chapter she keeps rereading in her mind, even if she never finds the courage to tell you why. There comes a point when you stop needing the apology, not because it wouldn't be healing to hear, but because you've grown so deeply into yourself that her silence no longer echoes inside you. It just fades, and maybe you never imagined you'd get there. Maybe for months you sat with that ache, that relentless wondering. Did she ever look back? Did she feel it too? Would she ever say the words you needed to hear? "I was wrong. I miss you. I should have stayed." But instead she said nothing, and what felt unbearable at first, the quiet, eventually became the soil where something else grew. A steadiness, a new self-trust, a knowing that even if she never says she regrets it, you no longer need her regret to validate your worth. That's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to the old version of yourself that was still waiting for closure. You realize that healing isn't about getting answers from her. It's about making peace with the truth you already knew. You showed up. Fully, honestly, imperfectly, and that was enough. Her inability to receive it says nothing about your capacity to give. And now she watches from the sidelines. She sees the shift in you, the way you carry yourself with quieter confidence, the way your joy no longer depends on her permission. She notices your peace, your new glow. Maybe she hears you're in love again, or maybe you're single and simply radiant with purpose. And it eats at her, not in a bitter way, but in that deep, unspoken way that only those who self-sabotage understand. Because somewhere inside her she knows, she left the man she prayed for, and you became everything she once wanted, but without needing her to complete the picture. You see, love isn't proven by how loudly someone fights for you after it's over. Sometimes it's proven by how much it still lives in the quiet spaces they avoid. She might smile at your successes from afar, even clap for you when no one is watching, but she won't reach out. Her pride won't let her, her fear won't let her, and that's okay, because you're no longer the man who needs her validation to feel whole. There is a kind of freedom that comes with loving someone so deeply. You have nothing left to hide, not even your own heartbreak. And then letting them go without bitterness, because real strength is not revenge, it's release. And when she finally realizes, if she hasn't already, that she lost something rare, something whole, something deeply human, she will sit with that quietly. Perhaps in moments you'll never witness, at 2 a.m. when a certain song plays, while scrolling through old texts. In a dream she can't shake, she'll feel it. She'll remember you not for what you gave, but for how she felt in your presence, seen, challenged, desired, understood. That kind of imprint doesn't fade, it lingers, it hums beneath the noise of her new life. It asks questions in the stillness. Why did I let him go? But she won't say it. She can't, because saying it would mean pulling the thread that unravels the life she's sewn together since she left you. A life built on the idea that she was right to go, that she needed to go, that losing you was the cost of her becoming. And maybe it was, or maybe it was the cost of her avoiding who she could have become with you. Either way, you're free now. And freedom doesn't always come wrapped in closure. Sometimes it comes in clarity, the kind that doesn't need revenge, doesn't need proof, doesn't need her to say a word. You already know. You were the love she couldn't hold. And she knows it, too,